je vais parler en français, allemand, anglais. La présentation sera en anglais. J'essaierai de parler le plus possible en français, voyant que j'ai appris français par ma mère, mais je ne parle pas tous les jours français, spécialement pas dans ma domaine, de typo 3. Bon, j'ai préparé un petit agenda, le futur du content management, le futur du CMS. L'agenda, c'est, il y aura quelques informations vitales sur moi. Il y aura une question, la question autour Understanding the Future, comprendre le futur. Regardons, looking at the past, regardons les X years, les 10 années derrière, regardons les dernières 10 années. Vous entendez bien?
Oui, oui.
Ok. Il y aura 5 idées sur un système future proof, CMS, mais aussi Don't Believe the Hype. Et il y aura un petit peu sur le legacy et l'héritage, ça veut dire les choses qui resteront. Et il y aura tout le temps la possibilité de poser des questions et voyons que c'est vraiment quelque chose que c'est très très free que je vais faire maintenant là.
Ouais, on est sous forme de débat là, donc il ne faut pas hésiter à participer et c'est pas une conférence technique. Donc là les décideurs, les commerciaux, c'est vraiment là, une conférence sur laquelle vous allez pouvoir interagir puisqu'on est en train de parler de toute la stratégie aussi de com de votre boîte.
Ouais, bon, ok. Qui suis-je? Je suis Olivier Debarco, je suis le fondeur et le CEO de DKD en Allemagne. Plusieurs de vous connaissent certainement l'une et l'autre extension créée par mes collègues. La DKD existe déjà depuis plus que 14 ans. On a commencé avec Typo 3 dans les années 2002, 2003, quelque chose comme ça. Et pour l'instant, on est 55 employés. Et oui, ouais, on essaye d'être le meilleur, une des meilleures compagnies dans la communauté Typo 3, ouverte vers la communauté. Ça veut dire, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On fait beaucoup de... on fait les user groups, on invite à des meet-ups aussi dans des autres thèmes comme les DevOps, Continuous Integration et Deployment. Bon, moi personnellement j'ai 45 ans, quelques cheveux gris, aussi grâce à Typo 3. Je suis membre du fameux Expert Advisory Board de l'association Typo 3 qui fut... nous sommes les représentants des membres de l'association, ça veut dire de chacun d'entre vous qui est membre, mais aussi on est représentant de toute la communauté, des idées de la communauté. Et qu'est-ce qu'on essaye à faire avec l'advisory board, c'est de trouver un moyen d'améliorer la situation pour tous, c'est-à-dire que la situation, oui, bon, premièrement le code, on aide à créer le code que vous utilisez, mais on aide aussi à créer les événements, les occasions de se voir, à développer ensemble. La dernière année, on a introduit aussi le procès du budget avec beaucoup de participation de la communauté et aussi beaucoup de problèmes aussi, disons, politiques. Mais je pense qu'on est bien sur un bon chemin. Si vous avez des questions sur la membership de l'association, venez vers moi. Je sais que pour l'instant, il y a des offres spéciales qu'on peut offrir. Moi, personnellement, j'ai commencé avec Typo 3 dans la version 2, 3 bêta 1 ou 3, choses comme ça. Et il faut dire que je n'ai pas vraiment trop compris. Et on a fait, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait? On a fait tout avec des script objects. PHP Script Object qui n'existe plus. Mais pour l'instant, c'était comme on a compris, on faisait toujours dot, content, et on mettait tout dans des script objects. Pour l'instant, qu'est-ce que je fais pour les prochaines 3 années? Je suis dans un projet de Research and Development de l'Union européenne qui s'appelle Forget IT Project. Forget IT Project, c'est un projet qui veut vous aider à garder votre contenu pour les prochaines 300 années, mais aussi d'utiliser ce contenu aujourd'hui, c'est-à-dire de vous donner des actes, comment expliquer ça, de vous donner des bénéfices directs en utilisant un système. Et pour l'instant, on crée ce système, c'est quelque chose de très intéressant. On est plus que 10 entreprises dans un consortium. Il y a IBM en Israël, il y a la Turk Telecom, il y a des grandes universités anglaises qui sont dessus. Il y a des aspects neuropsychologiques, ça veut dire qu'est-ce qu'on veut faire? On veut que les systèmes informatiques commencent à oublier les dates. Ça veut dire quelque chose qui est vraiment un petit peu dingue, c'est de faire que ton ordinateur oublie les choses que tu n'as pas besoin. Et c'est une des questions aussi, comment faire. Et c'est très intéressant pour moi parce que moi, j'ai l'impression que je redeviens étudiant et j'ai appris une chose qu'il ne faut pas comprendre tout. Il ne faut pas comprendre tous les jours tout. Voyons-nous, étant spécialistes dans le content management, on croit qu'on peut aller en plus, qu'on peut comprendre tout ça, mais de l'autre côté, il faut des fois savoir où sont les frontières. Ok. Qu'est-ce que j'ai fait aussi encore? Qu'est-ce qu'on a fait avec la DKD et qu'est-ce qui était sur mon registre? C'était Apache Solar pour 3 CMS. Si vous avez des questions sur ça, approchez-moi aussi. Suivez-moi sur Twitter. Je suis très ironique des fois, mais aussi très enthousiaste sur Tupo3. Ok. Understanding the future, comprendre le futur. Pourquoi est-ce qu'on veut comprendre le futur? Certainement, on veut apprendre à se manifester, on veut la certainté, on ne veut pas la certitude. La certitude, parce que déjà la vie est assez complexe, elle devient de plus en plus complexe pendant qu'on parle, et je pense que chacun veut savoir plus sur les prochains 3 mois, 1 année, 2 mois, 2 années et tout ça. Et je pense que c'était un grand motif pourquoi il faut de temps en temps aussi penser pourquoi on veut savoir son futur. On veut avoir la possibilité aussi certainement de faire l'action accordingly, ça veut dire d'approprier, comment on dit en français, ouais. Et certainement, parce que moi je veux créer quelque chose qui reste, qui est sustainability. Et bon, de l'autre côté, la dernière fois, vous étiez chez une voyante, et là, je vais vous dire, j'étais il y a quelques semaines, j'étais aux États-Unis, et il y a une chose que j'ai vraiment vue plusieurs fois, c'était des petites maisons où il y avait un panneau, c'était écrit palm reading. Ça veut dire qu'au moment où il y a beaucoup de gens qui doivent avoir comme une nécessité pour lire dans la palme de la main. Ok, le futur. Moi personnellement, je crois plutôt qu'on peut comprendre le futur si on comprend le passé. Quand on comprend le passé. Ma question maintenant, si moi je regarde, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait? Comment on a commencé à utiliser les systèmes de gestion de contenu, c'est parce qu'on avait un problème. Ma question maintenant à vous, c'est quel était le premier problème de contenu que vous avez eu vous-même? C'était quand? C'est il y a 2 ans, il y a 5 ans, il y a 10 ans. Pour moi, il y a 10 ans, c'était bien plus que 10 ans, où on essayait, on faisait des sites, si on regarde comment faire des sites web, l'évolution s'est passée. Je dis qu'on voyait, avant c'était vraiment une œuvre ouvrière, manuelle. On commençait à travailler avec... moi j'ai commencé à travailler avec un programme d'Adobe qui s'appelait Site 1000 et Page 1000, qui n'existe plus. C'était un programme avec lequel je pouvais créer sur mon Macintosh Performa 5200, je pouvais créer des sites et placer des objets, placer des tables. C'était très très simple. Avant ça, bon, on a inventé Public Maquis avec les éditeurs à la main, tu vois. Mais vraiment, quand j'ai commencé mon entreprise, c'était avec Site 1000 et Page 1000 qu'on faisait les sites. C'était quelque chose de très très... On pouvait pas... le travail était... comment dire?
Can go for English.
Yes, the work basically that you were doing was like very personal work. So everyone who's been working in an organization and maybe long enough knows that there has been the webmaster. So the webmaster was the guy that was really like the turning point of everything around in the company. So everyone was like sending the text via email, say, yeah, you have to put this on the website. And basically, what content management systems tried to do at that time was to make it easier to put the work away from the webmasters, because they were like not really scaling. You know, there's like, so I guess one of the major problems at that time was like to make it possible for non-technical peoples to put the content on the website. And then I guess this hasn't really changed. If you look at the time, I mean, maybe we have different ways of doing it, but basically the basic DNA of doing content management is to enable people to publish, to author, and to publish something. And as to say, well, it helps also certainly in organizations that you are able to also regulate and to govern who's allowed to publish somewhere and who's allowed to see maybe the data on the website and so on. But basically the content management system is just doing that. Also, content management helped companies to inform about the products. I mean, at the very beginning, it was more like, the websites that we made was more like, yeah, let's get rid of the brochure, the printed brochure that we do. It's always outdated, and let's get, there's this new thing called internet, and you have to dial in, and then the modem goes on, and so on. And yeah, so what happened at that time was that companies understood that there's a new way of informing their customers. Currently, or nowadays, I guess it's even more, it's even not only informing, it's just really about going into the discussion with the customer, offering them services around the product, and doing 360 degrees communication channel, ending up with the social media and Facebook and this kind of stuff. So basically, these are the two, for me, the two strong points. First, authoring, make it easier, and enable the communication between the producers or the people producing the content to the people consuming the content. So these are two of the main, personally the main aspects that I see that will not go away. That has been in the past and it will stay in the future. Okay, so I've posted last year. Last year I was really seeking for answers. I was unsure about where is Typo 3 CMS going, and where is Neos going, what are others doing at the time, and so I was also feeling that there was a lack of vision. I still think that a majority of people still have this feeling. I don't know how you feel at the moment. Maybe you're not as concerned as I am, because maybe I'm kind of a pessimistic guy sometimes, or that's maybe my education that tends to lead me this way. But so I had a feeling, where is Typo3 going, and where will I be with my employees in 5 years from now? And are we going to still do the things that we're doing the way we're doing it now? And so I was like kind of seeking for myself to understand, what am I doing really? What am I doing every day? So, so I said, okay, just write some ideas on Twitter, and I pushed that somewhere on Twitter last year, and I did a Typo3 Buzz, a blog post on that later on. So my first thought was that the future-proof CMS will be recognized by the content repository, the easy editing, the high integration, the extensibility, and the standards conformity. So basically, that's really it. That's the one. I mean, that's so, but what does it mean? First of all, I think the base foundation of a good content management system is really the content repository. To be frank, Typo3 CMS has no real content repository. It has a way to deal with content that is maybe appealing to lots of people, with the page tree and the content elements that are there. Maybe also with, yes, with Templar Voila and the FCEs and everything. That's all nice. It gives you lots of freedom, but on the other side, as Christian also said, there's no standard way to work within Typo3. So your Typo3 installation looks different than the Typo3 installation of somebody else. Maybe that's a model, a business model, but it's not a way on how you can really take care of a long-term customer perspective or something like that. It feels a little bit weird that we haven't managed to standardize the content repository, the way how we store our content objects. And we're really free to create them, and I guess also if you use a certain parts of the Typo3 CMS content elements, and you just stick them to your page, that you can really solve a lot of nowadays and maybe future days problem, but it will not solve problems like, okay, I just want to give a different access to the website, not only a page-based access. I just want to give an access to the website in a more free way, like I can browse through content that is categorized, or I can browse to personalized content that is only available to me. This is not possible in Typo3 at the moment, Typo3 CMS at the moment. So this is my big hope that with Typo3 Neos that we'll all be able to do so. And I guess really the content repository is the main driving issue, the main the success factor here. Easy editing. Yes, the Typo3 backend in Typo3 CMS is it's nice, and you can really take a lot of time in putting away all those nice options so that it gets usable for the normal users. But if I see the way how people are working in companies, is that they're not really working every day with it. So they're working once a week, once a month, and then they forget. And then I guess it's also a problem with Typo3 CMS that it's no easy way. And also the front-end editing as we have it at the moment is broken. It's not working anymore. It's somebody forgot about it. So really we took away one of the major aspects, I think, front-end editing. If you look at other competitors, vendors selling the front-end editing as their main asset. So this is something, I think with Neos we're going the right way.
Il y avait le projet Aloha Editor qui était intégré déjà à Typo3 et qui permettait, qui permet d'ailleurs toujours d'éditer à la façon de Neos en front-end. Mais je ne sais pas où ça en est, ça, du coup.
Okay, the Aloha editor is been made by a company in Austria, the Cyberhouse people, and it was also developed in an early access program. I'm not sure where it is right now. With my company, we opted in for that early access and just to use it and just to support the development. The problem is at the end is how do you get such a thing as near as possible to the Typo 3 core without putting the Typo 3 cores work to that work on the Typo 3 core in the developers. And I guess this is also one of the major problems that we have in the Typo 3 CMS ecosystem at the moment is that everyone's expecting core developers to do things, you know, just, yeah, this is the feature I need. It must go into the core. Just take it. But I personally think the core must be more smaller, even more smaller than it is, than half of it right now. So just to give you an impression. So I think this is something, I don't know, we should ask Georg, who's the main developer on that. But I guess it was also like a call for action at the end. So.
Parce que je pense que tout le monde serait d'accord de remplacer le RTE par Aloha, hein, ça ne posera pas de problème à mon avis.
Funnily is that the RTE in Typo 3 is only used by Typo 3 anymore. I mean, yeah. The one that we're using and we're very lucky that we have a very good contributor in that with Stanislav in Canada that is very loyal to the Typo 3 content management system, and without him I guess we would have run into more problems. As I said, for the back end I guess the RTE is okay, but for front end aspects we should take. But still I guess at the end, easy editing. My personal wish would be that people really look into Neos, and they really take now the occasion of the moment to use it and to say, okay, might use that in 2 years from now for earning the money, but I'm right now in the possibility to actively contribute to that project. With all your knowing, all knowledge, I certainly think that nobody will just push his code into Neos as like easy. It will certainly be difficult to contribute. But I guess this is a thing that we need to do. We need to create a certain friction so that we start to get the ownership of that product. This product was like, it's really like, it's in what's the research and development, yeah, you're working on your own and then you try to ship this product onto the street but you need to convince people. And I guess Christian was very well doing that in the last 2 days, convincing people. And everywhere I see him speaking about Neos, every time I find something more about that I really need to look into that more. Okay. Extensibility. This is something we know from Typo 3 CMS. I guess this was one of the main factors, success factors. Easy, just think of a marketplace for extensions. Think of a way that you can earn money from your extensions. Not how you do it now, but how you want this to happen in the future. Think about that. Go there and ask for such an infrastructure. I know we are working. The Typo 3 Association is working on a new extensions repository. It will not happen today, but I guess in the next 1 year, 1.5 years, we'll be having certainly a different approach on that. Yes, and standard conformity, that's normal. Okay. The second thought was about the systems that the CMS will be running on. Currently, if I look back at the last 10 years, we've all been working with one dedicated machine. Maybe we introduced Linux to our company because it was the best system for our content management to run on. In the meantime, yes, all the other operating systems like Windows also made it that we can run Typo3 on it. But basically, the LAMP stack is that what you're currently running on. It might have come to your attention that the world outside is changing. So everything is more like going to be run on distributed system. That means that you might have a park of machines, of servers running your system. Maybe it's will be running on a cloud infrastructure. My personal view, or my personal opinion currently, is that Typo3 CMS is not meant to run on a cloud infrastructure. It's tightly coupled to the Linux system. Yes, you might say, yeah, I could be doing this, I can be doing that. You can certainly tweak certain aspects of it so that Typo3 scales, like adding front-end caches or adding a distributed file system. But still, if you look at how you can deploy other applications on a cloud infrastructure, and that then you will see that Typo3 is not really following that. It's not really following. There's an effort to create a more cloudy integration of Typo3 CMS. The microphone, yeah, I think the battery. When it's a battery. Okay, there's an effort doing the work with so that we can run Typo3 on a cloud infrastructure like Amazon or Windows Azure. Feel free to join it. It's on Forge. Just search for Cloudy. I have a very first prototype for Typo3 CMS running on Windows Azure as a proof of concept. But believe me, all the nice features that we have with Typo3, with the image, in example, image manipulation of image magic, I don't know if we will have really the full functionality there. So one thing, again, look at Neos, look how Neos is going to deal with that. Think of distribution, the distribution of work. Not everything needs to be done while you're accessing the content management at the same time. So you don't need to create the image when you create the page. You can do that maybe a little bit before that. So, okay. Another thing is that I think a content management system will need to do is we will need to distribute content to many other systems. So currently, if you think what are other systems, basically, right now everyone's speaking of responsive web design or adaptive websites. Everyone's saying, yeah, my website needs to look nice on the mobile. That's the next 2-3 years from now. But what will be there after that? We will still be having the desktop computers, we'll be having the smartphones, we'll be having the contact lens that will have the LED in there, or maybe the Google Glass. We might have the thing that is there, the port, that will induce directly into your nerval system. You heard it here for the first time. So think of that. Think that a content management system will need to distribute content in the right way. And personally, I still think all the systems that we have now are just only dealing with the one problem they see. Oh yeah, my content management system is able to do mobile websites. Super, that's just only HTML. Yeah, but am I really able to distribute the content to my clients so that they can reuse it. An example, and am I maybe also able to, withdraw money from them and say, this is my content, you can reuse it, and every time you use it, you pay me €1? No. So, but this is what content management systems need to do. They need to enable us to monetize that content that we create. So that's one thing that I always say, it's APIs. The content management system needs to be able to send out the content through an API, either free or for money or something like that. But not only, just do a website and it's HTML, and then the HTML, the browser will render it just okay. So it's not only that. And I think we should be able to consume content from other content management systems, from other sources, too. So the content management will need to enable me to identify those sources. Like, okay, I have this source. It's my Twitter stream, in example. That's a very cheesy example. But so I take all the Twitters about all the Twitter messages about my company, and I feed this into a system that gives me a sentiment analysis and say, okay, how do people feel about my product at the moment? And depending on what the people are feeling, the content management system will propose to you to say, okay, you might be changing that content, you might be putting that content on that site, you might be revising your content, and so on. So think of a content management system as an assistant, as something that will help you to understand how people deal with your content. So think of that. So this is what I mean with different targets and distribute. Okay, but the third thought was about the core functions and the way how we need to adapt to the changing demands of our business every day. And well, okay, what I'm saying here is maybe many of you are still deploying manually. Many of you are still doing, just send some files and then I do the content and I just copy stuff and so on. Basically, many people are doing lots of stuff manually because the content management systems do not offer a way to integrate work from other platforms into that, or there's no way to in example, I have a progression in my plugins that I've made. I have changed something how my plugins are behaving, because there's no way to do a deployment while people are using the plugin. So think of that in other platforms, an example in the Erlang communication platform, you're able to deploy a new program, to deploy a new function while the old functions are still serving things, and when the last function is finished, serving the old version, the new version comes in, and just like that. So, so basically what I think is that we should be able to also to deploy fast and easily, also to roll back easily, to see the, like an audit trail, who has been doing what on my website, and so on and so forth. So one thing that we try to achieve currently in the Forget IT project is to answer one simple question: what was I doing last week with my content? So what content is changed? By whom? Do I change content frequently? Do I have duplicate content of my website, and so on? Basically, this is one question that we're trying to answer by giving you a content dashboard that will answer you questions on who did what at which time. All right. So the robust core functions, I guess, this is just it's I guess one of the major things that we need to take care of. The fourth thought was about using again. Yeah? The usability should be as easy as possible to avoid barriers for daily use and support the migration of content objects. How many times have you worked on your website and you have found out that you are not able to mass change content so that you can really batch process content? So this is something the content management system should do for you. You should be able to have a transformation of your content automatically or assisted and so on. The usability, we're outside of content management, we are in the usability wars, I guess. If you look at your mobile phones, I think 1/3 of you is on iOS, another third of you is on Android or all this kind of thing. Maybe the rest is still running on Blackberries or has tried to use a Windows 8 phone. You will see that the most people, the computer systems people are interacting with will be mobile phones, mobile devices, and this will really dramatically change the way how people will interact with the nowadays, or with the content management systems that they will be using at work. So there will be lots of expectancy there, so that the content management system offers me certain gestures. I want to use it maybe on my tablet PC. While commuting on a train, I want to be able to change little things on my website and so on. So usability is one of the major aspects also. You interrupt me if you see it differently, yes, but yes, please.
Just I would like to notice what Type3, it's not a kind of blog, it's the public who use Type3, normally it's all institutions or big companies, and the workers of companies, they're not traveling all the day in trains or moto, and, tiens, je vais modifier quelque chose. Donc,
yes and no. I guess on the other side, let's jump like 15 years in the future. There's basically the thing is going to be, let's take as one thing, the retail. Yeah, so nobody's going to buy anything anymore in the local store if they don't have a online way of telling them, please, I want to come and pick up my stuff and so on. How many people from you have bought something from Zara? Zara, that's a fancy Spanish Zara, Z-A-R, Zara. The ladies know it. You guys, you certainly know it because you're still waiting in front of the store while the ladies are inside. So you're able to buy something at Zara and pick it up at the store. They no longer send it to your home address. They might send it to you if you want to, but you can also pick it up there. And one thing that is happening at the moment is that the retail is going into having a lot of flagship stores where you can see the products. You might be able to pick them up, but we will be seeing that lots of the products will be highly customized for your needs. So the product itself will become multifaceted itself, and you will be seeing that those kind of things are going to happen in the high end of retail, and let's say on the low end, I will be able to interact with my local vendor if it's still there. You tell me how much time I have, huh?
45 minutes.
I have 25 minutes, okay. So, where was I? What I want to say is that we were speaking about the mobile phones, and the gestures. And you were saying, yeah, I don't see that companies are going to update their website while driving or doing this and doing that. On the other side, I think this is going to happen more than you think. How many times do you check your email while you're in your car? On the way to this conference this morning, we looked out into the cars and what people are doing. They're not driving. They're texting. They're looking at the smartphones. Go into a train. Look what people are doing. They're listening to music. They're browsing the social networks. They're twittering. They're finding their emails. Why shouldn't they update their website while commuting? Why? They're not doing it at the moment because it's so freaking problematic for them. And nobody really offers that. So it's usability. It's just a question of usability. If you build it,
For me
people will use it.
To make a site, it's like to write a book. I need to think, I need to do something good.
Yeah, but I can go there and I can say, Siri, please take the dictation, and then I start to dictate. It's just a matter of changing ton habit, that's your l'habitude. It's just that, and we're the thing is, because we're in the center of the storm, we don't see the changes at the end. This is one thing that you really need to take care of. It's not you and you say, I'm here in my comfort zone, I don't need to change. So basically it's really, really, really just think of your customers and think of the people, what is their need. So, and usability is one of them. So last of the 5 thoughts was, yes, it should be released as open source and have a worldwide and open and strong community around it. The community can be private people, can be companies, and so on. It's the mixture that makes it. I read yesterday a tweet that kind of made me angry a little bit. Tweet from a guy that is the person behind Symphony 2. And he said something like, you like it or not, open source exists only because of the money. He said that, because you have to buy food. So I said, okay. So for me, my first reaction was, that's not my perception of open source. Open source is not there because somebody came and took a dollar note and said, yeah, here you have it, create open source. That's not it. Open source is about access to technology. It's about the possibility to contribute. And it's not, at the very first beginning, not about earning money. You might earn money as a consequence that you contribute and that you participate in open source. Maybe you're clever enough to create a whole product, a product that maybe will be staying like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years open source, and then you try to be working on a company that might offer services and lots of integrations and consultation people and so on. But this made me angry to think that someone who's one of the major open source frameworks, I don't know why he say that, so there's no context. That's also one bad thing about Twitter, there's no context. So you just read something, then somebody else just retweets it and makes it valuable. So at the end, it's a little bit of a problem there. But this is exactly the problems that your customers will face. They will be facing a lot of people saying things, and okay, how does this relate? What is the context? So okay, so for coming back to open source, I think that Typo3 has a good open source. They took a good open source choice. I know that every once in a while there's a discussion, yeah, okay, the GPL is maybe not the best license and so on and so forth. I think the GPL is the best license for open source that you can get, even as a company, because it frees the code. And I believe, personally, it's a question of believing, you know, it's how much. On the other side, I believe also, on the side, I see also that companies are having a problem to contribute to a community because of the whole patents, software patents. So GPL is not mentioning anything about software patents. Maybe the Apache license then is something that is more suitable. There's compatibilities between the different compatibility discussions, but I'm not a lawyer, but we're also in the Typo3 community, we're working on getting a more clearer view on the legal aspects of open source, but that's not the point I wanted to make. The point I wanted to make is that all of you are using open source and you come to such a place here. Well, it's not Las Vegas, it's not EMC, not Microsoft inviting you to come with big presentations. It's not Google I/O. It's not Apple developer conference with 6,000 of persons and so on. But I think the community spirit for me is one thing that I rather like to have in such a setting than in the big, huge settings of. And I guess this makes also open source something that is very personal at the end and takes care of really solving the problem and not just doing something because of the marketing and that. Yeah, so these are my 5 thoughts. Okay, so some last words. Don't believe the hype. One thing that you certainly have observed is that there's new buzzwords all the time. There's this one major open source content management system that has a mascot. This is a drop. And every year they have one campaign that is aimed to make their system outstanding from all the others. And they always have one person or one system that they are bashing on. And they're doing it very, very intelligently. The social content management system, I guess, was one of their things, and they were aiming at WordPress. The second one was like the e-commerce content management system, and they were aiming at Magento. So basically, what they're doing, they're just collecting the buzzwords that all the marketing departments have. They have problems. Oh, we need to do a shop. What are we going to use? Oh, let's use Magento because it's this. Oh no, I have heard that this is the better choice. So basically, they know exactly what fears and requirements are in the company. So, but don't believe the buzzwords all the time. I think marketing is all over the places. Even if you don't see it, it's there. Don't feel minor because you're using Typo3. You're just using the better system. In my personal view is that you're using the better system. Sometimes this better system is only used by the chosen few, or just not that amount of people. I know exactly the rules of the market. You know, people say, yeah, I want to be able to change the, I want to be able to change the person that gives me the services around the content management system. Why is that? Because people make the experience that the services you get are bad. And that's why they need this security. Just maybe only if it's only a theoretical choice they make. My personal or my advice to you is concentrate on explaining to your customer why you're using Typo 3, what is the long-term benefit of using a Typo 3, even if it's not in the market. That's the number one. Help them to understand why you chose Typo 3, and you will see that customers, basically, they don't care. They don't care about the system they're using. They care about you as the people offering the service around it. And this is something that will not change. Understand the systems that you're using and understand where it's going to, and tell that to your customer, and the customer will stay. This is my personal opinion, my personal experience. Okay, I hear every time content management is obsolete, the new thing is customer experience management. Do you hear it also? The next thing is customer experience management. And we need to shape the customer experience, and we need to be able to adopt to what the website is doing and so on. But basically, it's at the moment what people are just offering is just a tighter and better integration of analytics with the content management system. Maybe they're one step ahead because they're able to design personas and design certain persons or certain kind of persons that are visiting your website, but at the moment, I think personally, what is custom? That's just the marketing. That's just the buzzwords experience. Yeah, everyone. I want that my customers have a good experience, but I won't do that a computer system in the very first. I hope that the computer system helps me and proposes to me, but I'm kind of. Have you ever been phoning somewhere and then, if you want to call customer services, press 1. Okay, if you're a customer, enter your customer number. So this is basically not the customer experience I want to have, because basically, or think of your last time you booked a flight and you never know what price am I gonna get. This is also customer experience. So UX is the new thing. As I said, user experience and usability. Certainly, on the other side, you're not going to go from being a webmaster to be a UX manager. So you just add a new title to your card. Just make sure that you don't hide behind those things. I guess that's okay. Everything will be mobile and connected. I guess we spoke about that. I guess you can trust a little bit on that. Nobody will use content management anymore. PHP is dead. Use NoSQL. Big data is the next thing. So don't just every time you hear of that, think of me and say, what was Olivier telling me? Don't believe the hype. Just stay up to a certain point. Don't think somebody's coming up with a new idea and this new idea is going to change everything for you. So just this is my one thing. Okay. I personally rather believe in standards, believe that the semantic web is going to show up after 20 years of being somewhere in the research. There's going to be something that we will have on top of what we're doing. RDFA, micro formats. I loved what Christian said some minutes ago about with the VIE standard, that the content management system is able to declare, this is my content and this content is editable. I had a thought, if you talk about content management systems, one of the major aspects was to separate the structure or the presentation from the structure. And it stayed separated. So I think content management systems of the future will need to understand the presentation they're creating. So there needs to be like a more 360 degrees on that. So it's not just about publishing HTML and understanding, okay, I have this and this and this. We need to have something that will tell our content management system, here, this is the metadata on the RDFA might be one of the standards to declare what is on my content so that I can also use the content somewhere else. Just think of that. Just think of that the separation is not a separation, it's just maybe a logical separation or just a way on how you can make sure that you can continue to develop on that content. But the content management system will be more and more in the need of understanding the content that you're creating. And this is something really that came to my mind like only 3 or 4 days ago that really stuck to me and say, yes, we need to understand this linked data, this semantic around the content that we're doing.
Do you have an example of something that people could understand?
Yes, an example, you create a website about a product, and currently it's just maybe what you do is you standardize your product in a XSpace extension. You have a title, you have a description, maybe your product is a t-shirt, you have different sizes, colors, and so on and so forth. So the semantic web would be annotating this so that a machine or crawler, website, Google, whoever, can understand this is a product. And this product is a t-shirt. And this t-shirt has this attributes. So basically, this is, first of all, just making the content more understandable. This is one thing what I understand from semantics is really describing it. And I guess if we want to, I really need help on that. If you can maybe rephrase your question. The thing is that I want to understand also, am I able to follow this object, this t-shirt somewhere else? You know, I can, I just, or another example is always the example with the persons. You have a website in your company and you're dealing with persons that are working in your company. There's always this DBpedia example. You can query DBpedia for entities that are in your content. And basically the public example is, oh, I have this text. It's about a US president, the US president that plays saxophone and smoked cigars. So, and there was this thing about the intern. So who am I talking of? So with semantic, with a Sparkle, that's a semantic query language, you could be querying, give me all US presidents that played a saxophone and smoked cigars, and you'll be getting a person entity out will be Bill Clinton.
And the link would be done also between all the cigar smoking persons. You could request everything without having a classical database structure with
exactly, exactly. There's even working there's one company from the Forget IT, or one university from the Forget IT consortium that presented something called Mimic. It's a database or where you can query other websites. And you can really, it's not keyword-driven search. Basically what we're currently doing, we're always searching for keywords. We're not really, and what Google does about it, it just adds the usage of the keyword so that it adds a relevancy layer on that. But what they did is that they enriched all the content of a website with all the entities, with persons, locations, products, and so on, and you are able to query in a way different way. If you're interested into that, I have a link to that website, and you can try some stuff out.
If you can tweet it after the conference.
I can Twitter about it, but basically think of that. Your content will be enriched on a local level, and you will have a layer on top of it that will give you access to this enrichment. Yeah, and you will need some kind of a management level to query that and to shape maybe stuff. Yeah, that's very now. That's really, really future now. I don't know, next 3 months or something like that.
We need to think about starting the questions because it's already...
Yes. So, some last thing about some random stuff that I want to tell you. The average age of a website is 75 days. So the web archive in San Francisco crawls every 60 days a certain amount of websites on the web. And after 75 days, they find out that many websites go away, basically because maybe the URL changes or the page gets deleted. Last week I had a fun phone call and I was talking about, yeah, you have to, well, what kind of Typo 3 are you using? And I said, yeah, we are still using Typo 3 4.4. And I said, oh, but this isn't maintained anymore. Yeah, but it's no problem. In 2 years, every 2 years we do a website. We don't need to keep the CMS updated. So basically what they do, every 2 years, they take away, destroy it. So on the other side, I have had another phone call and they say Typo 3 is the base of all our web operations and it's crucial to us that we can maintain and we can keep what is going on. So basically, one thing that I want to say is that there will be the need to deal with legacy systems. Typo 3 CMS will certainly be a legacy system in a certain amount of time. Maybe not all the websites will be updated, or they will stay maybe in specialized virtual machines that are very hardened and can be restored every time somebody cracks your machine. But if you look at databases, in example, databases exist since the early 70s as a product. There's still one database product running on the AS400, a DB2, that is still maintained by one company. So because people are still using DB2 and AS400 systems. And I think Typo 3 will remain, as it's crucial for some web operations, and people are going to say, oh, we invested so much money into it, we're not going to touch this, and we're not going to we're not going to destroy it. So basically, this is going to be one of the things that we'll be seeing, is that we'll be getting a legacy of that we have to keep. On the other side, as I said, the heritage is what do we want to leave for the others. We want to be able to leave our websites, and this is one problem of the dark age, that means one day there's not going to be any more the computer systems that will run Typo 3. So what are we going to let for other persons? Just a thought, huh? And I guess a content management system of the future will be able to that you can reuse it and you can export it and you can put it somewhere on an archival system, and you will be able to look at the page as a picture, and you will be able to interact with the page as a HTML with a special HTML viewer. That will be maybe a special browser that will be conserved and so on. But look, think of that. In the moment we're speaking, there's a new update for your app that you're using. Everything's changing, and but on the other side, we need to keep stuff, we need to preserve stuff. So one thing is, it's the right mix about innovation and conservatism. So just innovate where you can, conserve as much as possible. Yes, 2 links regarding Typo 3. This is the one where Rasmus is asking for ideas and about web content management in 2017. Then he wrote a blog post about all the things that people were sending to him. It's interesting. Just have a look. Maybe you find some ideas there too about the future. Hopefully, you've got some ideas from what I was talking. Hope you have lots of questions now.
Can you switch to that microphone so I can bring the other one?
Yes.
Don't think. Alors, beaucoup d'informations à synthétiser et pas mal de questions aussi, j'imagine, par rapport au futur de Typo 3, à aussi la façon dont vous envisagez les 5 prochaines années. Comment vous allez gérer peut-être le switch, combien de temps vous allez travailler sur quelle version, quand est-ce que vous passez à la 6.2 LTS, quelles évolutions vous avez envisagées. C'est le moment de poser toutes ces questions et puis de nous faire partager aussi votre avis sur tous les points qui ont été abordés.
Really good presentation. On the market nowadays there are two main ways to manage content. I think structured way like Drupal or WordPress, Easy Publish, and Typo3 offers both ways. We can manage structured content nowadays with plugins and Xbase, but also unstructured content. What I've seen in Neos today and yesterday, it's that the basics of content editing is unstructured content. Do you think that this is compatible with what we need in the future, the adaptability of content with mobile API and integration in other systems?
Okay, I guess that your perception is wrong, because what I understood is that Neos is helping me to deal with my, you said unstructured content, but if I remember seeing on the one slide from Christian, there was this one system component called expose. And this is something that is more like, to be understood, like the list module that will be helping me to access that structured data, so the models. So I think that to answer your question is that you said that Typo3 CMS is strong on dealing with both ways, structured and non-structured data or the content. I think that it will be keeping this one good thing, the one this advantage. Huh? Christian, you're in the back. So Christian would be adding one sentence.
So I think in Neos, of course, you will always have at some point unstructured content because a text is just unstructured. I mean, there is no more structure in a sentence than there is a sentence. What you can do for text to make it more structured is to add this RDFA or any other annotations to it. So you have metadata in your text that gives more structure to it, linking it to specific information. So if you have a sentence that contains the word Paris, for example, you can link the word to either the French capital or to Paris Hilton, depending on your context in the So other machines know what this sentence is about. That makes the content more structured at this level. And Neos in the future should support you to annotate text like this. For every other content, the idea is that you create custom content elements. If you have a product, if you display a product in Typo3 CMS, you would use content elements. If you don't have a domain model, if you just want to display a product, you would use just the text element and write all your information about the product in the text element. That's totally unstructured. In Neos, what you would do is create a custom content element with separate fields for all the information of your product, like the title, the price, all the details. And then again, it's structured because you have configured separate information about the product and separately. So in that way, you can create very structured Neos.
Okay. Did this answer your question?
Sorry, my was really T3, I understood that in years, I understood that in years we will be able to manage in a really good way structured content. But when I talk about unstructured content, is the way to say here's a page. I want to put a text element, and near it I want an image, and then another piece of content. I think this is the way we see the content in the website, but maybe in the API or in a mobile website or mobile application, this order of content have no sense, and I want another way to display it. This is what I said with unstructured content, but I understood that there will be a really good way to manage structured content in Neos.
I guess your question is more about how can we be sure that the right content is displayed on the right platform? That's a good question. I guess people are trying to do it at the moment in standardizing using frameworks.
There's a solution developed by Ron Al. He developed an extension that had a condition, type-of-script condition to the screen resolution. So you could choose, like in the access, normal access of typo3, you have another option that is where do I want to display this content? And you create your profile like phone, tablets, horizontal phone, small desktop computer, laptops, and then you can pick where you want to display your content, and you just use the access API to display it or not.
But don't you think this is just like trying to solve a problem for a certain time, and then later on we'll be certainly seeing, as I said, there's going to be different levels of representation, and those levels are not going to be HTML. There might be HTML5 using a responsive framework. There's going to be maybe you exporting JSON link data, JSON object of what is your content. As we saw from XML, it could be also XML containing even the processing information or image information, and that's this is where we're going. We're really going into the content management will distribute the content on different levels, and it's not the one level. It's not only HTML. Just because we have been working years and years on HTML, HTML will evolve. Maybe HTML itself will hold. HTML7 or 10 or something like that will hold itself such ways of declaring this are different levels and this is how to degrade and so on. I'm not in the T3UNI13 consortium. I can't tell you about the future, but as I know, I have seen lots of HTML standards coming up and going with HTML2 and then HTML4 and XHTML, and now HTML5 seems to be the thing. And still, it's an evolving standard, and yeah, we had this discussion yesterday also that I think that maybe the content itself will contain the content management system. It will offer to my client a way on how to deal with the content. I mean, this is what the VIE standard is trying to achieve on a very low level. But I want maybe one day to be able to say, all right, the whole content management is happening on the client, it's happening on the computer that is consuming the content, and I just offer a way where I can, you can work on that, and you're allowed to do that, you're allowed to change this certain. So my personal vision goes that one day it will be not the system running on your servers doing that. It will be something that will be a hybrid thing going on, and I feel that Neos is going in that direction. Might be maybe the first step to help us. On my personal thing, I wish it would be more simple. It would not give us so much things to learn at the very first beginning. XML here, YAML there,
Ember here, eel. There's a lot of things to learn, and I'm not sure if others are not making it easier to the developers at the moment by saying it's JavaScript all the way. You just need to take care of the JavaScript, and we have a JavaScript understanding server like Node.js that can be plugged with JavaScript, and so this is I guess there's no one way at the moment to tell you what is going to be the right way to do. So, any other? You had another question, Fadir?
I have completely not commercial question, but it's.
You took notes. That's the dangerous thing.
It's about past and future of CMS. Just about the idea of typo 3. Because as I could remember, typo 3, it comes from the concept of Trinity, because as I remember, Casper, he was a big believer,
Okay.
and he, even in install tool, you have and the password, Joe.
316, yeah.
316, in Image Magic you have Jesus to make the separate partition. I'd like just to know is if accept the technical evolution of typo 3 in the concept of sharing of typo 3, there is something more than the license GPL. If there is still this idea of I could see love, of share, of something what we probably couldn't find always the word to describe. Probably the love is the most near. If the expert advisory board thinks sometimes about such stuff.
Whoa, that's a good question. I think that one major thing that I feel in the Typo 3 community, it's the combination of being curious. And that's why you're here. You're curious. You want to know what is going on. On the other side, you want to exchange your ideas. That's what we're doing at the moment. And we do it in a very friendly way. So that basically that's the love aspect that you're saying. And this sharing thing is certainly something that is very crucial to what people are doing every day. They're communicating, they're sharing their thoughts, they're exposing their thoughts, they may be making themselves accusable of something, but basically people yes, and you tell it, the question was, does the expert advisory board think of love? Yes, we think we certainly think a lot of what can we do, how can we reach as much as more persons with this €1 that we get, how can we get that thing on the street that people continue to be here in the community. So it's a very philosophical question. I still think maybe we can change the images in the install tool, because maybe for some religions it's not that good to be remembered that they put Jesus on the cross. But that's a fait divers. It's just Typo 3. That was Casper's idea, and that's what he was thinking of that he wanted to put a message in there, and it's good that it's there. I mean, doesn't mean that you need to adopt it for yourself and so on. So I guess, open source is also about, as I said, about freedom. That you can choose, you can take the best out of it, and that's it. So, Cyril, I'm here the next 2 days. So, one last question, and then we close the session.
We are talking about sharing. You talk about the creation of a marketplace.
Yes.
Do you think that the philosophy of sharing extensions in Typo 3 will evolve in the few years to be able to provide another way to commercial extensions. Will the TDR will allow to pay to buy extensions?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer that with a clear answer. I think the TER, as it is at the moment, is just a good way of distributing an extension. It misses or it lacks a little bit, let's say, the social engineering parts of open source. How can I explain that? If you have an extension and you give it away for free, that's super, because people can use it if they're able to use it. You know, you need a certain level. But what is for the people that are just using Typo3, and well, you will be saying, oh, there's nobody's going to use Typo3 just out of it being admin and installing extensions. Yes, think of it something like you with your company, you're really offering this very good shop that comes with a very easy assistant that people can use it. And you want to put that on, you want to distribute that with Typo3. Or you have something that integrates very well with the software that costs a lot of money, like SAP, or I heard yesterday some other names around it that people are integrating lots of backend systems. Yeah. My example with what I have seen with Apache Solar in the last 3 years is that people like to support you if they know what they're paying for. If you're developing, they know. They say, all right, I'd be supporting you with X euros. Yeah, this doesn't really answer your question. Let's say you have a content management system running in a cloud environment, and where this is running and you just have it for free. But all the functions that you really need cost money. And you can decide on, you pay the money when you install it, or you pay the use by when you're using it. What would you be doing? You would be certainly rather paying the usage instead of the installation. And this is something where currently in the Typo3 ecosystems is that everything what we do is currently around the installation part. You know, I'm an integrator, I do that. So basically, are we doing it right at the moment? I'm not sure. So with Apache Solar, what we said, you get it, you can install it, we can do that for you. In the price is installation inclusive. But you can also choose if you can do it yourself. You can, how can I say that? You can have consultation or consulting from us, because we give you 2 hours of whatever you can do with this, because we will do the service around it. So, and you pay also for updates. And the argument is, the more people use an extension, the more updates you will certainly need, because the system changes, the other system changes, Typo3 changes, Apache Solar changes. So basically the question, or just to answer that question, hopefully we'll be finding a way on how the extension repository or the packages repository for Flow will offer you a way on how you can contact the companies serving that or selling or giving that extension to you, on what kind of services are around that. So this is maybe just a business advice, and think of changing a little bit the business away from installing and just maintaining an extension to consultation and so on. Maybe was that okay? So this is my idea, or what I think what others are going to do, what other content management systems are going to do. Maybe even they're doing it right now and I don't know it. It's like the Drupal gardens, and you just get hosting for the CMS, inclusive, and certain amount of support time. So we need to think of that. Okay. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup Olivier. Je pense qu'on va tous bien cogiter pendant le repas et essayer de se mettre à côté de toi pour parler un petit peu de tout ce qu'on a en tête. Bon bah écoutez, bon appétit. À tout à l'heure pour les conférences et ateliers. Et rapprochez-vous de Christian pour ceux qui veulent une autre injection une autre dose plutôt, parce qu'injection on n'aime pas trop ça en sécurité. Une dose de Neos. Et nous sommes en train d'organiser un Google Hangout au mois de juillet qu'on va planifier avec Christian. On va donner la date là aujourd'hui pour continuer à discuter tous ensemble de Neos et à poser des questions à Christian. Do you have any idea already of when you'll be available, or we do that after lunch? It's fine. 17? Okay, so le 17 juillet, on organise une conférence avec Christian Muller sur Google Hangout. On va mettre les infos sur l'écran tout à l'heure après manger. Je crois qu'il commençait à montrer des petits signes de faiblesse, le microphone, mais je ne sais pas si c'est la batterie. De sa conférence tout à l'heure, il voulait répondre à des questions techniques. Je lui ai dit de venir.
Technique, moi.
Je lui ai dit de voir avec Laurent.
Yes, can we do this after lunch? I'm here for 2 days, so just I'm for that. I really need now something to drink. I forgot.
Si on fait ce qu'on